Link TV, connecting you to the world. Link TV is viewer supported. Watch more at linktv.org.
Link TV presents Mosaic World News from the Middle East. Here are today's top stories.
Iran bans 2 UN inspectors over disputed report. Turkey to intensify campaign against Kurdish rebels. And Morocco dismantles suspected terror cell. Mosaic World News from the Middle East begins now.
The tension between Iran and the West escalated over Iran's nuclear program. Tehran announced the ban of 2 International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors from entering the country, accusing them of intending to leak false information on its nuclear program. The IAEA has denied the accusation.
The International Atomic Energy Agency took a firm stand over Tehran's accusation against the international inspectors. The IAEA quickly responded to the Iranian allegations directed at 2 IAEA inspectors, affirming the accuracy of the agency's reports on Iran. The IAEA said that its inspectors are neutral and professional. This came after Iran banned 2 international inspectors from entering the country and demanded their replacement with other inspectors. Iran accused the 2 inspectors of submitting false information in the report that was recently sent to the agency during the meeting in Vienna and of leaking secret information before the official scheduled date. As for the international sanctions on Iran that continue due to its nuclear program, Gulf News, the official newspaper in the United Arab Emirates, reported that more than 40 domestic and international companies were shut down for their violation of international sanctions imposed on Iran by the UAE. The United Arab Emirates has vital trade activities with Iran, the value of which is estimated at tens of billions of dollars a year. According to the newspaper, these companies, whose names remain undisclosed, were shut down because they sold dangerous and dual-usage products that were banned under the UN Security Council's resolutions. This measure was taken after the UN Security Council imposed the 4th round of sanctions on Iran that included a ban on selling 8 kinds of heavy weapons to Iran and applied restrictions on Iranian investment overseas, as well as other sanctions by the US and the European Union. Iran responded to the sanctions by announcing that it will face them by strengthening bilateral and regional cooperation with its neighboring countries. Zinil Faiz, Al-Arabiya.
The Moroccan Ministry of Interior announced the dismantling of a new terror cell. The cell, which is led by a Palestinian man, includes 11 armed members. The ministry said that the cell was plotting to carry out bomb attacks in Morocco.
Terror cells have returned to the spotlight in Morocco. Rabat has accused 11 people of forming a new terror cell that adheres to jihadist ideologies. The Moroccan Ministry of Interior said that it is still pursuing other terror suspects in the case. The Moroccan Authority said that the new cell was led by a Palestinian national.
Some Moroccans had been arrested in connection with terror cells dismantled in European countries, specifically in Germany, Italy, France, and Spain. By the same token, some of the terror cells dismantled in Morocco or in the Arab Maghreb region included suspects from the east.
The Moroccan State Prosecutor's Office has issued arrest warrants for other suspects in connection with the cell. The dismantling of the new terror cell is being attributed to efforts by the security authorities to prevent new attacks by extremist groups in Morocco.
The Moroccan decision-making body was left with no choice but to focus on countering terror attacks. In response, the Moroccan authorities launched a series of preemptive security operations. This will help the authorities diffuse security tension between Rabat and Algeria on one side and between countries in the Arab Maghreb and Europe on the other.
Observers believe that Morocco remains a target for radical groups who are plotting to launch attacks by recruiting suicide bombers with explosive belts, similar to the 2007 bomb attack, which Moroccan media referred to as the Bloody Spring attacks on the city of Casablanca. Adel Zibari, Al-Arabiya, Rabat.
نبدأ جولتنا هذا المساء من تركيا فقد انتهى الاجتماع الأمني الذي رأسه عبد الله جول.
A security meeting headed by Turkish President Abdullah Gül and attended by top state officials, including civic and military leaders, has concluded in Ankara. Turkish leaders met to discuss the implications of the escalating fighting with armed fighters from the Kurdistan Workers' Party, the PKK. Amidst this escalation, the Turkish army has deployed special units backed by helicopters along the Iraqi border. Our correspondent in Ankara, Omar Kashram, has the details.
نعم طوال هذا اليوم توالت الاجتماعات ما بين كبار قادة الدولة.
A series of meetings took place in Turkey throughout the day. The meetings were attended by top state officials as well as military and intelligence leaders. In addition, Turkish leaders met with the president of the republic and opposition parties, who called for strict measures against the PKK. Among these measures were the closure of border points with Iraq and the launch of a wide-scale military operation against the PKK's positions in northern Iraq, especially in the Kandil Mountains region. The state has not clearly announced its new measures. However, in its final statement, the security meeting called for the launch of exceptional military operations by special units in certain areas of northern Iraq. The intelligence issue is also important. For the first time, there have been calls for a review of Turkish intelligence agencies and their members who work inside and outside Turkey, particularly in northern Iraq. The intelligence issue is expected to play a key role in outlining the specifications of the security plan that aims to counter the PKK's attacks. According to Turkish interior sources, the army is expected to launch a nationwide manhunt to capture PKK members, who are currently in Turkey and are expected to carry out attacks on Turkish security and military targets. Turkey is preparing to launch a campaign against the PKK in the coming days.
Thank you very much. Omar Kashram from Ankara.
Six NATO soldiers were killed in 3 separate incidents in southern Afghanistan. 2 of the incidents were explosions in which 3 Australian soldiers and 1 American were killed in a helicopter crash in Kandahar province in the southern part of the country. The Australian Minister of Defence, John Faulkner, considered the death of his soldiers in the helicopter crash a tragedy for the Australian people. The Prime Minister of Denmark, Lars Løkke Rasmussen, arrived in the Afghan capital of Kabul in an unannounced visit, during which he will review the presence of Danish forces there and meet with the Afghan President Hamid Karzai. U.S. envoy to Afghanistan and Pakistan, Richard Holbrooke, met with a number of Afghan officials, including Minister of Defense Abdul Rahim Wardak. The commander of U.S. and NATO forces in Afghanistan, General Stanley McChrystal, attended the meeting. Holbrooke arrived in Kabul from Pakistan within the framework of his visit to the region to discuss the latest developments in the 2 countries. The Afghan government downplayed the importance of the U.S.'s announcement to have discovered major mineral deposits in Afghanistan valued at $1 trillion. They were also suspect of the timing of this announcement, especially as some NATO countries are demanding the withdrawal of their troops from Afghanistan due to their increasing human and material losses, as well as the lack of investment opportunities.
U.S. forces have not succeeded in eliminating al-Qaeda or the remnants of the Taliban, but they managed to discover Afghanistan's underground mineral wealth, valued at $1 trillion. The U.S. Department of Defense released a summarized report on the existence of massive mineral resources that may change the trajectory of the war. However, political observers cast doubt over the timing of this announcement, which coincides with the increasing calls of NATO countries to withdraw their forces from Afghanistan.
In fact, the United States is seeking to keep its allies in the war by delaying its withdrawal from Afghanistan, under the pretext that huge mineral deposits are available for investment. But the reality indicates the opposite. I believe that the announcement is exaggerated.
The Afghan government welcomed this so-called new discovery. President Hamid Karzai expressed his concern over the potential competition between foreign companies to drill Afghan mines. Meanwhile, the Afghanistan Ministry of Mines assessed the value of iron, bronze, and lithium deposits to be up to $3 trillion. The ministry believes that this will contribute to strengthening the Afghan economy and may turn it into a rich country if the right environment for investment is provided.
If we manage to provide security and stability to all Afghan regions, then we will be able to benefit from these mineral treasures. I can say that most of the areas in Afghanistan contain these mineral deposits. So restoring security is the basic condition for benefiting from these mines in order to strengthen the national economy.
Many people here believe that the mineral wealth is a blessing with two possible outcomes. It will either help the economy grow and will improve people's living standards, or it will provide more motives for the armed groups, who will likely believe that foreign forces came to steal the country's resources. In addition, it may create more trouble for Iraq, while its government is too weak to control anything besides major cities. It is true that the mountains and caves of Afghanistan hold many surprises and vast mineral wealth. It is also true that this wealth may have just rendered Afghanistan the world's most tense region. The next few years will reveal how the world will deal with this new discovery. Mahmoud Wasik, Al Alam, Kabul.
Capital Tehran, you tune into Press TV International News. Thanks for joining us. 7 more foreign soldiers serving with U.S.-led forces have been killed in Afghanistan. 3 Australian commandos and an American soldier were killed when their helicopter went down in the southern province of Kandahar. The cause of the crash is unknown. 2 other NATO troops also died in separate bomb attacks in southern Afghanistan. Elsewhere, a British soldier has succumbed to his wounds sustained in an explosion in Helmand province. The death brings the number of British fatalities in Afghanistan to 300. This is while the number of NATO soldiers killed in the war-torn country so far this year has crossed the 280 mark. We're going to cross on over to London to talk to Lindsay German with the Stop the War Coalition to get an idea, at least about the British opinion about this war. Lindsay German, thanks for joining us. Well, the 300 mark must not be good news. How is it that the government of the UK can justify its presence in Afghanistan?
Well, it's finding it increasingly hard to do. This 300 soldier who has unfortunately died, this last 100 deaths have been in the last 10 months alone. It was only last August when we passed the 200 mark. So the number of deaths in the war is escalating. And of course it's escalating not just for the British troops, but as your report shows, for other of the NATO troops and for the Afghans. So it's increasingly hard for the government to justify, particularly when tomorrow they're expected to announce some very, very severe cuts in public spending. And people are saying we've spent now £20 billion on this war. Why are we spending all this money on a war which most people in this country don't want, which most people in Afghanistan don't want, and which clearly is not succeeding in its aims?
And also it's interesting that the UK's Prime Minister, David Cameron, has said that the UK is paying a higher price in this war. Is that a sign of perhaps a conflict there in terms of being pressurized by the Americans, let's say, for them to participate and keep being active in that war?
Well, of course, there's a huge dilemma here because the British do provide the biggest number of troops apart from the United States. They don't have the economic resources to do so, and they don't really have the political support or the political will in this country. This is a deeply unpopular war, and people don't really want it to continue. Now, with the new government, they're saying, well, we're deeply committed to the soldiers, we're deeply committed to continuing the war, but in reality, when you look what they're doing, They can't launch the offensive in Kandahar, which was supposed to be happening this month. It's now been put off till September, and lots of people think it won't happen. It won't happen then. The supposed advances they made earlier this year have all been rolled back. So really, the British government is in a situation where it can't go forward, but it can't go back because it doesn't want to lose face after what happened in Iraq. So it's a terrible quandary for the government.
The Israeli municipality of Jerusalem has taken a further step towards implementing a settlement plan in a neighborhood of occupied East Jerusalem. The plan will leave hundreds of Palestinian residents homeless, but both the Palestinian Authority and residents of the neighborhood condemned the plan. Nahil Burhan takes a closer look on developments in Israel.
Israeli authorities take a new step to implement a settlement plan in occupied East Jerusalem. Some 20 Palestinian homes will be demolished under the new project, which has brought swift Palestinian condemnation and raised international concern. The Jerusalem municipality convened its planning board to discuss the proposal, which could bring new international pressure on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just a day after he bowed to world calls to ease a Gaza land blockade.
Sadly, we had put forward a proposal by the residents in order to get permits for the houses and improve the area and its infrastructure. But unfortunately, the committee ignored our proposal and decided to meet today in order to discuss the mayor's proposal, which aims to turn the neighborhood into a Jewish one and to demolish the Arab homes and to confiscate the land.
Citing concern over Israel's international image, Netanyahu had persuaded Jerusalem Mayor Nir Barakat to put the King's Garden project on hold in March, at a time when Washington was struggling to revive Palestinian-Israeli peace talks. City spokesman Stephen Miller said the board was likely to approve the plan to build 1,000 homes in the East Jerusalem neighborhood of Silwan. The blueprint also calls for demolishing about 20 Palestinian homes, which the Israelis alleged were built without permits. Palestinians say building permits are impossible to obtain from Israel. Palestinian leaders have described the project as another attempt by Israel to cement its claim to all of Jerusalem. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has asked Washington to press Israel to abandon the housing plan.
The Palestinian government criticized and condemned the most recent Israeli violation of Palestinian rights in East Jerusalem, particularly the deportation of 4 Palestinian Legislative Council members whom are alleged of not being loyal to the State of Israel.
The United States, which has publicly urged Israeli authorities to halt any planned demolition of Palestinian homes, has praised Netanyahu's move to delay municipal debate on the initiative 3 months ago. Israeli municipal officials say that even with the approval of the Jerusalem Planning Board, final ratification of the project could take months. But any move that could bring the home demolition closer seems likely to bring more diplomatic pressure on Israel, which was rocked by an international outcry over its killing of 9 Turkish pro-Palestinian activists in flotilla raid. Nahil Burhan, Jordan Television.
The Quartet of Middle East peace negotiations welcomed an Israeli decision to ease its blockade on the Gaza Strip, but the mediators said the situation in the Palestinian territory remained unsustainable and unacceptable. In a statement, the Quartet, the United States, European Union, Russia, and the United Nations said Israel's change of policy towards Gaza was encouraging. But they added that much more needed to be done to alleviate pressure on the Gazan population. The statement was made by Quartet envoy Tony Blair, U.S. Special Envoy George Mitchell, and EU Foreign Affairs Representative Catherine Ashton. Among others, it called for meeting the needs of Gaza's population for humanitarian and commercial goods, civilian reconstruction and infrastructure, as well as legitimate economic activity. Israel announced yesterday it will move to allow almost all goods into Gaza, except for arms and materials used to make them. The Quartet also said it will continue to press Israel, the Palestinian Authority, and other parties to ensure the new arrangements for Gaza's crossings are implemented as quickly as possible.
في هذه الأثناء كشف المتحدث باسم قيادة عمليات بغداد أن التحقيقات المتعلقة
A spokesman for the Baghdad Operations Command said that an investigation into the failed attack on the bank revealed that the attackers were wearing military uniforms. He indicated that a number of them managed to escape, even though the bank is located in a semi-closed area with wide-ranging security measures imposed around it. Qasim Atta said that the investigation showed that a member of the group who tried to break into the bank was wearing a captain's uniform. He was accompanied by one person who was wearing a first lieutenant's uniform and another who was wearing a lieutenant's uniform. The rest of the group was wearing a soldier's uniform. This news comes as the outcome of the attack has resulted in 18 deaths and 55 injuries.
فوضى أمنية تضرب بأطنابها أرجاء العاصمة بغداد وسط غياب أمني معتاد.
Amidst the usual lack of security and the constant threats, chaos hit Baghdad. In the heart of the city, the central bank was bombed and broken into by armed men who took hostages. Dozens were killed and injured in the attack.
وذكرت مصادر حكومية أن اشتباكات اندلعت في أثناء عملية الاقتحام.
Government sources say that clashes erupted when the armed men broke into the bank, two of whom detonated explosive devices, which they had carried in their pockets, near an electrical generator that caused the explosion of several barrels of fuel. Smoke columns rose from inside the bank's headquarters on Rashid Street. Eyewitnesses said that the gunmen were wearing military uniforms and that the explosions caused a fire in many parts of the bank and the burning of documents and papers.
People say that men wearing military uniforms planted explosives inside the bank.
At first it was one group that came in the middle of the day. After that group, they brought devices. These devices exploded and the generator shut off. Because of these devices, the police members got divided. Cars and army vehicles collided. They looked like the army in their attempt to break into the bank. They were wearing military uniforms. They were from the army and they tried to rob the bank.
العملية جرت على الرغم من أن قوات الجيش والشرطة تغلق الشوارع الرئيسية.
The attack took place even though the military and police forces closed down Baghdad's major streets, including the bustling Rashid Street, where the central bank is located.
عشرات من المهاجمين تمكنوا من الهرب برغم أن البنك يقع في منطقة.
Official sources also revealed that dozens of attackers managed to escape, despite the fact that the bank is located in a semi-closed area. Official security sources later announced control over the central bank and its surroundings. However, they acknowledged that the attack was perfectly planned. It is worth pointing out that this is the second time that such explosions and attacks took place in Baghdad. An attack targeted a number of hotels in the heart of the capital in January.
وصف عضو التحالف الكردستاني محسن السعدون
Member of the Kurdistan Alliance, Mohsen al-Saidoun, described the attempt to attack the central bank as a dangerous phenomenon that poses clear challenges to official security forces. Saidoun said that the security violation that took place in central Baghdad during the day is considered to be a challenge to the security forces. He called on the security forces not to interfere in the political scene that is currently developing in the country. Saidoun warned of other violations in other provinces, especially in Naino and Anbar, in addition to Baghdad.
استقبلت القاهرة وفدا من كبار المستثمرين العراقيين.
Cairo welcomed a delegation of Iraqi investors to sign a number of agreements for construction and development projects. A similar Egyptian delegation will visit Iraq in the coming weeks. We leave you with Karem Al-Halafawi for more details.
By using Egyptian expertise in the construction industry, Iraq plans to build 1 million residential units within 2 years. A number of Egyptian businessmen and the head of the Egyptian Ministry of Investment met with an Iraqi delegation, led by the head of the Iraqi Minister of Investment, to discuss the means to implement the project.
We're talking about the 1 million residential units. Each unit will cost $50,000. The project will cost about $50 billion. God willing, it will be implemented within 2 years. More than 100 companies, about 108 international companies, want to participate in this project. God willing, some of the Egyptian companies that we met this evening will also participate.
The views expressed on Mosaic are from contributing broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible from support of viewers like you. Thank you. Watch Mosaic World News online. Stay up to date with breaking news. Read our blog. Get transcripts of past shows and more at linktv.org/mosaic.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs, programs which connect you to the world.